the whole origin of the universe, right? And the physics is asking this question all the time. How does this creation came into existence? And the Upanishads and the Vedas have, which is the ancient literature coming out of the Indian subcontinent, have very beautifully captured this. And nobody knows how they knew this. Perhaps through very deep contemplative practices where they were experiencing some of these transpersonal subconscious states that they were tapping into, even the existence and the origin of the universe. So how does this come about? So this part is really my exploration of what the Upanishads have described about the origin of everything that there is. So just entertain me for the next 15 minutes because I think this is new, this is missing. And what I intend to do is try to explain to you how breath is connected to all this. Okay? So the very first thing that we need to understand is everything started from nothing. Okay? In yoga, you talk about two different entities, two different beings or energies. You talk about Shiva and you talk about his counterpart, which is Shakti. Right? So you talk about the masculine and the feminine, who are the co-creators of this creation. And this line of thinking goes in many different religious practices, spiritual practices as well, right? So we talk about the masculine and the feminine. We talk about the yin and the yang, right? So first of all, everything began, so if this line really partitions between the unmanifested and the manifested, remember that everything started from the absolute, the unmanifested. Shiva himself is described as that which is not. He's described as, there's a term, there's a Sanskrit word, nira, means formless. So from the formless came the form. Now physics tells us there was a cosmic event billions of years ago that led to the creation of the galaxies. We call that, previously it was called Big Bang, now it's called the singularity in the time and space, which actually started. It was the seed that started everything. In the Vedas, it's called Vak. And Vak itself means the first word. So there is a singularity, there is a cosmic event at which the origin of the cosmos started. So that's called a Vak. Now, that one, physics tells us that all of this creation was within the size of an atom. It's unbelievable. You can't even believe that. Your logical mind cannot even fathom to think about how can this entire universe be the size of an atom or even less than an atom and be created from that. But that's what physics is telling us, right? And that's what the Upanishads tell us, that there was this event which started everything. That's called a Vak. That Vak reverberated, the first sound reverberated. So that's called nada, right? Nada still means the reverberation of the sound. Okay. From there came the cosmic motherly energy of Shakti. Okay. So from Shiva, from the absolute, came the energy Shakti. Now, Shakti in itself then manifested into 4 different forms: the Vijnana, the Chitta, Prana, and Ananda. Let me explain to you what that is. Because these words should ring a bell in your mind. A lot of your yoga literature talks about this, right? Even the first verse in Patanjali's Yoga Sutra has the word Chitta in it, right? Yoga is what? Chitta Vritti Nirodha, right? So that word actually appears right in the very first word of Patanjali's Yoga Sutras. So Vijnana is universal intellect. We talk about self-intellect. Shakti formed into a universal intelligence. Okay? That universal intelligence has to be housed somewhere. We call our brain, our mind, right? There's a universal mind. Chitta is the universal mind. Prana is the universal spirit, the universal energy. And Ananda is what? Universal bliss. The highest form. I think this is actually describe universal bliss. I would say universal love. Okay? So Shakti manifested into 4 different forms now: universal intellect, universal mind, universal energy, and universal love. Okay? These energy systems were beautifully captured in 5 Mahabhutas, which are called Tattvas. So the 5 Mahabhutas are the 5 elements. What are the 5 elements? It's the Akasha, Vayu, Tejas, Apas, and Prithvi. So it's space, air, fire, water, and earth. Okay? And these are layered in such a way. So if you go with physics, they go from the most subtle to the most dense. And as you go, these are actually in an order because every single, this is the most subtle form, the most spacious, if there is. Like space itself is infinite, right? So going from infinite, space now condensed to a little bit more grosser matter would become air. Air further condensed would become fire. Fire further condensed will become water. And then finally is the earth. Every single element down the line, starting from Akash, starting from space, has that preceding element into it. What I mean by it, air has air plus space. Fire has fire, air, space. Water has last word. And the grossest one, Prithvi, which is what we are made of. Our body is a earthy matter, right? We are made up of the 5 elements. When we leave this body, the 5 elements will just go dissolve in the universal 5 elements, which are these. Okay. Now, in our spiritual body, where are these elements situated? So space resides in throat, Vishuddhi. Air, appropriately, is our heart center, is our lungs. Right? Physically also makes a lot of sense, right? Fire is Manipuraka. The word itself says Manipur. Mani means something which is glowing and shining and burning. And what that is your digestive heat, Manipuraka. Water is up, right? And then finally, the grossest one is earth, which is what? Our root. Okay. So universal concepts coming into embodiment now. All right. So up to this point, you understand. Now, understand this concept as well, that these chakras are also categorized into 3 bindus. What are bindus? Bindus are actually say mahabindus. Bindus are subtle points. Mahabindus are those large celestial objects in our solar system that are the most potent source of prana, energy. And those 3 are celestial system are what? Moon, sun, and earth. So you can draw this cosmic energy, cosmic Shakti, through any one of these 3 Mahabindus, 3 concentrated sources of energy. Okay? And then there are practices. So remember, can you guess what age we are in right now based on, are we earth people, sun people, or moon people right today? Any guesses? What is the human race? Which, from an evolutionary point of view, where are we on the cosmic cycle? Where are we drawing our energy from? Are we drawing our energy from earth, sun, or moon right now? We're actually in a transition phase to moon. Why do I say that? Because we are technologically there. We are using, from a bodily point of view, we are using this more than anything right now. Right? Because we are inventing, we are on such a fast evolutionary path that we have left the sun, which is the heart and the fire, and we have come to we are heady people now. We are most of the time in our head. We are drawing most of our energy through the moon right now. Moon can pull the oceans on this planet. It can influence your body and your mind so powerfully. When it has so much energy that it can pull the oceans, it can easily pull your mental states. So we are in the phase, we are transitioning now from the sun phase. We are into, I would say, early or very early moon stages in our evolutionary cycle. Okay. All right. So these are the three concentrated sources of energy. Now, here's what's beautiful about this. In our meditations, what are we trying to connect with? We're trying to get to the ultimate state. We're trying to connect to the nothingness, to the absolute, because that's where everything begins there. So these practices, and understand this actually captures the entire lineage of yoga. Every form of yoga is captured here. Every single meditation practice, somehow or the other, is captured right here. If we talk about breath, you have a way to connect with the tool of breath to get to the ultimate source of everything. Okay? So this, in the Vedas, this is the exhale, the cosmic exhale. So if you believe in God, when God exhaled, this is how the creation started. And this is the inhale. What happens when there is a cosmic inhale? So, exactly, right? All of this will be consumed. So all that Shakti, all that material, all that intellect, the universal mind, the universal energy, the universal bliss, everything is going to be sucked back in to that singularity. Okay? So universe began, the Vedas said the universe began with a cosmic exhale. Even here, right? Genesis 2:7 says this is an exhalation. The Lord breathed, exhaled. You inhaled. Right? So they're so connected. If you look deeply into all of these things, there's a single source of all of this knowledge. So universe began with an exhalation, a cosmic exhalation. We will dissolve back with a cosmic inhalation, okay, into a black hole and that energy. Now, another thing is the Vedas talk about, or Marvel talks about multiverse. The Vedas talk about multiverse much before that. And the reason for that is, I just showed you on this scale a single event. But why can't there be multiple of these dots? And why can't this be infinite? Because this is just one event that created this universe. There could be a similar event that would have created a parallel universe somewhere else. That's another exhalation. By the way, when that exhalation is taking place, there's an inhalation somewhere taking place where one universe is completely getting absorbed back into the singularity, absorbed back into the absolute. So it's a dance between that absolute, the unmanifested into the manifested, and the manifested goes back into the unmanifested. So the cycle of the inhalation and the exhalation, the cosmic inhalation and the cosmic exhalation continues to happen.